Oh, what is up, nerds? I'm Taylor, and I look sexy in headphones. This makes my hair poofy, makes my skin glow. I'm like a telemarketer on crack. And it is, I don't know, October 19th, 2022, and this is the Cranky Comic Book Review Show. It's where I give honest opinions about the books I read. And sometimes I'm cranky, because sometimes the books are god awful. But this week, honestly, not too many bad books. And not too many books. There are some this new LCS didn't quite get, and that's fine. I'm going to lower the mic a little bit because I think it's doing crackly thingies. Um, Whatever. I missed out on Mindset number 4, and I missed out on a couple other things, but that's all right. And also, going forward, I'm probably am going to be delayed on reading a lot of DC books. They have that Ultra Magnum Force Unlimited where you can read all the books you want digitally for a year for $100, and that's a lot better deal than buying comic books for me, the physical things. And while I love physical comics, look, I have some behind me. I've got a lot of books, and I live in an apartment now, and I'm running out of shit, and I don't need to own every damn book out there. I know it's a little weird because I'm a collector. I love collecting, but I'm also trying to focus my collection and trying to just figure out what I want and what I need to own. There's no such thing as need. These are all luxury things. But you know what I'm saying. I just don't know if I necessarily need to own every copy of every book ever because I run out of room and it's expensive. And digital, save the planet, all that crap. So we'll see. I'm still figuring life out, which if I ever do, I'll let you know. And I'm cutting back on some of the other stuff too. Some things I'll trade weight, and I'll sort of just let you know as I go along what I'm thinking. But this was probably the worst book of the week, and it really, honestly, wasn't even that bad. It's Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Dun, dun, dun. Issue number 1, written by B. Earl and Taboo from Black Eyed Peas, with art by Ferreira. Yeah, and the story is like mid-level Spider-Man, and it's not really meant as an insult. It's just kind of what it is. Lots of internal monologue, mostly a setup issue in that regard. For some reason, researching something. It's a setup. There's no real reason for him to be there. The art does stand out in this book. It is funky. It is weird. It is at times gorgeous and at times not, but always interesting. Kind of reminds me of like old Jay Lee in a way. And that's the strength of this book. Story wise, this is a setup issue with almost the entire story being told through internal monologue, and that storytelling device gets old for me. I understand it's Spider-Man, and I understand that's a thing that they do with Spider-Man books. Like Peter's always got this monologue running through his head, and when it's not running through his eyes, as it were, but it doesn't always work. This doesn't 100% work for me. Will I get the rest of this? Because it's a limited series thingy. No, I do think it's gorgeous. I think the art is great. It's just there wasn't enough there for the story for me, and that's the thing with comic books. It takes this balance. You need great art and a great story and a great lettering. The lettering here was all lowercase and kind of weird and hard to read too. Not awful, but not great. So it's fine. Your mileage may vary if you tend to get books mostly for the art and you like non-traditional art. It like sounds like Sam Raimi or not Sam Raimi, Sam Keith, Jay Lee, something along those lines. Actually, if Sam Keith and Jay Lee had a kid and made art, that's kind of what this is. So if you like that kind of stuff, you might like this book a lot better than I did, and you might really want to get it. So I don't know, your mileage might vary. Next, we have Nightwing number 97. And this is not a bad book. I like Nightwing. I like this issue of Nightwing. I think Tom Taylor's done a great job on the title. I think Bruno Redondo's art is usually fabulous. This is not one of his stronger outings art-wise. He's in past issues he's added some stylistic flares and had heavier inclines and stuff that I liked more. But it's not by any means bad. It's pretty verbose and it's kind of a filler issue in that it's maybe setting up the next arc, and I think they're going back to Gotham in the next issue, which yay. It's decent. The thing with Nightwing, it is one of DC's better titles, and it's consistently fun, but it's such a light, fluffy, fast read. It was probably the quickest read of the week, other than, well, maybe the next one. But and because of that, and I'm not, again, I'm getting cheap, and I don't need to own every book. This one probably will trade weight it for me. I do like it. I really enjoy it. It's not top of the week this week because it was a pretty strong week for comics, but it's just there's not enough here, and I think it does tend to probably read better in an arc, in a completed arc. So that's why this is going to get pushed aside and go digital. We'll see. It might not happen by next month. I still have not actually bought the DC Unlimited pack, but I probably will. I will review those books when I get them. So I'll be holding them an iPad awkwardly, and you might hate it and you might not, but whatever. It's my show. It's my life. It's my life. I'm not rich, and I'm not monetized on this channel. If I got monetized on this channel and I got to the point where like the money was paying for the books I bought, and so I could afford to, break even and review the books, then it'd be a different story. Then it probably would stick physical, and then I'd probably like buy a lot more stuff, review a lot more books. But this is a hobby for me, and I like doing it, and I like talking into the void that is YouTube and to you all. But it's not, yeah, like I said, it's not a money making endeavor for me. Next, I don't even know why I took this one out of the plastic. No real reason to do it. Moon Knight number 16. This is another fine book. It's Jed McKay and Cappuccino. Yeah, what's his nuts? The artist, regular artist on the series, um, Alessandro Cappuccio, and it's also feels like a filler issue. And I love Capuccio's art mostly. I really do not like his character designs. I don't think his character design of Hunter Moon is any good, and I don't think these nameless purple villains he's fighting, which were introduced last issue, are any good. But I like his fight scenes. I like his inking quite a bit. It's got this like really fluid kind of dynamic, loose looking feel to it where none of it feels like it's like tight. It's gestural and expressive, and I love it. Um, and Jed McKay does have a solid handle on this book. It's gotten away from the one and done stories that were in the first 12 issues, and I think that's probably a good thing. It's setting up longer arcs, which also makes it harder to read monthly and harder to review monthly. But I do think it's necessary because there was not a lot of growth in the first year of this book. There's more growth happening, and there's more chess pieces being moved about the board, as it were. And like this is setting up a war between uh, Moon Knight and a whole nation of vampires, possibly, and that sounds interesting and fun and badass. And that's what I like about my Marvel comics when they're good, they're interesting, they're fun, they're badass. And Moon Knight, Jen McKay writes him like a nice badass character. He probably could use a little more flaws in the character. That's one thing that like McKay is not great at with this series, and not great with anything that I've read of his lately, like Strange, which I gave up on, is he doesn't write character flaws well, and he's not really. He deals with the dissociative identity disorder, and I'm not saying that's a flaw. I don't want to like make fun of any of the people that are differently abled in the community or anything, but it should at least be dealt with and dealt as a character trait, and that's a better way of putting it. McKay is light on character traits other than badass. He's got one note when he's writing it. It's like a badass trait. You're a badass. And that's this. So it's a badass book, which is fun, but it could use a little more to it than that. Oh, holy crap. I forget. All right, these are way out of order, and I apologize, and I'm not starting over. I had these in the stack that I thought worst to best. Just pretend I started over. This is the worst book of the week, because, dear God, yeah, this is probably one of my favorite covers. Crypt of Shadows #1. This is Marvel's Halloween nonsense where they take money from you for shitty stories. This is it's an anthology book. It's got Victor Strange doing the Crypt Keepers like telling of stories in between. Like anthology device where it's like, oh, you entered the House of Horrors. Let me tell you what horrible things await. It's apparently Doctor Strange's brother. I don't know if it's a first appearance in the comics. I don't think so. I don't care. It's got a bloodline story, which is a Blade's daughter. Not bad. That's probably the best story of the bunch in here. There's a really crappy Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight combined story in here that's written by Rebecca Roanhorse. That's awful. Um, and then Down Came the Rain, which is written by Chris Condon, who writes That Texas Blood, I actually enjoyed. Not a good story though, and a really shitty Morbius story written by who the hell cares, and oh, Chris Cooper. Yeah, probably not the actor. Neither big nor bad. Yeah, there's nothing really memorable about this. The art on the last one is kind of interesting by Adam Warren. It's written by Adam Warren. It's also a weird ass story with like, um, what's her nuts? Honey Badger? No, X-23. Yeah, Laura Kinney and Ted, aka Man Thing. One of the more interestingly drawn issues, like comics, are parts of this story. The story itself doesn't really. There's nothing to it. Don't waste your money on this damn book. I mean, really, it's $7 or something like that, $6. So I wasted my money on it, so you didn't have to. Did I mention if I get monetized, I'll buy more shit like this and be even crankier? Yeah, it's not a good book. It's Marvel does not do well with anthologies, and I don't know if it's the editing or what. Because some of these art writers, like I love Chris Condon's That Texas Blood, I just haven't kept up with it, and I like a lot of what they do in other places. But whenever it seems like whenever you get these anthology books like this, the stories are just god awful garbage, and that's pretty much this. Like I will say, like the Daughter Blade story, the what do I call it, Bloodline, the best of the bunch, still not great, but it was competently drawn and competently told, and that's better than half of the shit in here. So just I'm not going to loop this into the beginning because I am way too damn lazy to do editing. I worked all day. I'm tired of wearing these headsets. I just want to take my pants off and not be alive or awake or whatever. Awake. I want to be alive. I want to eat a bowl of pasta in my underwear and watch bad TV tonight. That's my grand life plan. And now you know, people. Now you know. Now you're let into the thrilling aspects of my life. All right, next we have, and this actually pretend this came after whatever the hell Moon Knight. Um, Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain. This is not an action-packed book. This is not an exciting book. This is not an issue where much happens, but it's fun. It's Chip Zdarsky writing about this semi-dysfunctional family who and the dad created arguably one of the most important comic book heroes in this universe. There's a fight. He broke up with his ex-partner, and now this is years later, and like the dad got back the rights to draw and write his comic, and that's his life dream is to just have a come together as F is for family, and it's a good book. It really just is. You probably don't need to get this issue to issue unless you're just a nerd and like keeping up on it. It probably would read better as a trade, if it ever gets collected into one. It's just solid. It's if you're looking for just a family drama that feels like it's hitting some of the right notes with a little tinge of unrealistic happenings in here, especially towards the end of this issue, you could do worse than this. Like it's a creator fantasy boner book about creating fantasy boner. Not it's just you could tell it's Chip Zdarsky indulging what he thinks it's like to be a comic creator. No, he is one, but it's like he's expounding upon like the history of Marvel and DC and how they treated character creators, but he's also trying to like wrap this around a family drama. It doesn't always work, but it's still a fun escapist novel-ish book. Words are hard. Did I mention I worked all day and I just want to eat pasta in my underwear? All right. Next, we have Andromeda #3, Rom V and Christian Ward. This is the last of this, I believe. And this book feels very atmospheric. Get it? Because you're underwater. There's atmospheres and diving and stuff. It's a horror gothic tale where Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, this is the biggest appearance he makes in these 3 issues, and it's this last one. And it wraps up solidly. It might get higher on the list, and it might be a little more cohesive as a whole. Um, I don't have easy access to the first 2 issues of this right now, and I probably do need to reread it because it's with these black label books, and especially these large ones. It seems like it's taken for fucking ever for DC to get them all out. I don't know if it's a paper shortage or artists falling behind or writers falling behind or what, but dear God, it's hard to like really remember exactly what happened in the first 2 things. Um, there's Black Manta, there's a submarine where everyone's going batshit crazy, and there's Aquaman. That's all you really need to know, and it's gorgeous. So it's a good book. It probably would read better collected. Like I said on a lot of these, and that's probably the theme of some of this shit. Like Ron V, I like, and sometimes he's really great on a month to month, and sometimes he's like you can tell he's like got this vision for a complete book, and then when he has to break it up, it doesn't always work so well. And this is that case where I don't think it necessarily works so well broken up, and it could very well be the fact that it just took forever between issues, but I still like it. I still think it's a solid ending. It's just not quite my favorite book of the week. There's two others that beat it out, and one is this is the next one. Jeff Lemire, and Andrea Sorrentino and Dave Stewart. Mythos 10,000 Black Feathers #2. Oh, the Born Orchard Mythos 10,000 Black Feathers #2. God awful title. Jeff Lemire, I love you, but holy crap, your universe name does not roll off the tip of the tongue, sir. It's just called the Boneyard, or something easy like Boneyard Comics. There, I'm done. I've made it better for you. Andrea Sorrentino's art is great. This I do want to take out and I'll show you too. He's creepy. He's gothic. He's collaborated with Jeff Lemire a lot, and on the Black Farm, whatever, Black Barn, whatever. Gideon Falls, that's the one, and the Monkey Book, Primordial, and this one. And this is a very Lemire-ish book. There's some timey-wimey stuff. You don't necessarily know it's real. Worlds are colliding and coming into each other. There's a hunt for what was once lost. And all of these are kind of Jeff Lemire tropes at this point. Not a bad thing. But if you like Lemire, you're probably really going to like this setup. And this is still issue #2. It's still kind of a setup book. It's a stronger book than his vampire book that I really am tempted to drop. What's that one, Little Blood? I can't think what that is. But this is great. This is atmospherically Lemire-ish things that would probably read better collected. See, it's hard to fault this. It's just if you've read Jeff Lemire, it will feel like very familiar to you. It's going to feel like there's a lot of similarities between this and May's book and Primordial and some other things where like worlds are colliding, Jerry, worlds are colliding. That's a Seinfeld reference if you're old and cranky like me. But yeah, it's a really good book. I like the cover too, and I like supporting creator-owned stuff. And this is a creator-owned book. I think you could probably get this on Substack and read it earlier. I'm not sure. I'm not paying for any of the Substacks. Maybe I should, but yeah, I'm always a fan of Lemire and Sorrentino. You get them together. It's a good book. All right, now my favorite book of the year. Not the year. Favorite book of the week, and one of my favorite books of the year actually is Rogues. This is Rogues #4, Black Label DC Comics. I did not expect to like this as much when it first came out because it's Josh Williamson, who is very hit or miss for me. Sometimes I like him, and sometimes he's doing Dark Crisis nonsense. And then this is written by art by Leomax, and like the art is not your traditional comic book stuff, but it is fantastic, like subtly colored. Kind of sparsely told, like feels like an underground indie book as through the lens of DC. And you get Gorilla Grodd as a mobster, and basically this started off as like Captain Cold, Leonard Snart, and his crew wanted to go steal gold from Gorilla Grodd's kingdom. That's the setup for the series, and because it's a heist book, shit goes horribly wrong, and it turns into a character study on mostly Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold, and it's a really effectively done one. It's got a fantastic ending that's going to either really piss you off or you're going to realize, hey, yeah, that kind of fit. Or not maybe realize. Either you're going to think it fits or you're going to not. And if you think it fits, you're like, oh yeah, that's a solid ending in the way this probably had to go down. But otherwise, it could go the other way for you. I think it's probably the best wrap up of a miniseries I've read in a long time, and it is contender for top 10 books of the year for me because it hits all the buttons way. It's gorgeous. It's a kind of poignant, evil story with some crime heisty goodness. I love it. I love the coloring in here. I really like the art, and yeah, it's solid. I know I've said that before, but it's a $7 book too. I would say get it collected. It's probably going to be cheaper as a collection because you can get 4 issues, these Black Label, versus spending $28 for the single issues at cover price. So wait for the collection, but I would read it. Or get the DC Universe online Magnus edition where you get the extra large condoms in the mail or whatever the fuck you get. You get a Superman Back from the Dead or Death of Superman wrapped up special edition if you pay for the year. And then you can read all this online for free. Not free, as part of the $99. Then you can read all the other stuff, and they don't have to pay for things. And that's what I was talking about earlier, and that's probably what we're going to do for a lot of these. Like, I did not pick up the Batman, the Penguin in one bad day because I just... whatever. It gets exhausting to get all these things, especially when they're all coming out in these prestige formats at $7 to $8. You buy 10 of those prestige format books and you add in tax and you're at the $99 it would cost just for the year subscription to the thing. And that's why I'm going to it. And like I said, I've got a crap load of comics, and this is not all my comics. This is ones I was able to fit in here. I've got about 5 or 6 times as many elsewhere. Got a lot of comics, people. I don't need more physical books all the time. I don't know. Let me know if you feel the same way. Maybe it's just me. I mean, I know some people love having the physical object, and there are objects I love having, and there are like comics I treasure, but I don't treasure every issue. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm a bad collector. Maybe I don't care. I don't know. Whatever. You do you. You collect how you want, and I'll do me, and I'll collect how I want. But yeah, in the future, just look forward to more digital reviews as part of these weekly things, and I'll keep trying to buy the good ones, and I'll keep trying to avoid the bad ones because I don't really like being cranky. I don't know, sometimes I like being cranky. Not always. I kind of rather be happy. I don't know. I just want comics to be good. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you so much. As always, don't be a dick, even if you're just looking at digital porn. See ya.